Strategic analysis. The paradox of counterproductive behavior. A fundamental challenge for strategic leadership is understanding why capable professionals and successful organizations consistently act in ways that undermine their own stated goals. Despite valuing innovation and efficiency, executives and employees often find themselves trapped in counterproductive behavioral cycles, often feeling like victims of the system. The root of this paradox is not a lack of skill or motivation, but a deeply ingrained, self-protective mindset. This phenomenon is driven by defensive reasoning and the systemic organizational defensive routines it creates, as articulated by the foundational work of Chris Argyris. The analytical objective. This analysis illuminates the clear causal chain. Individual mindsets create systemic routines, which, in turn, actively inhibit critical organizational learning. Understanding this chain is a strategic imperative that allows leaders to move beyond superficial fixes and enable effective change. The core conflict. Defensive reasoning. Defensive reasoning is a mode of thinking primarily programmed to protect the actor from threat or embarrassment. Its logic is insular, self-referential, and counterproductive to problem-solving. It prioritizes self-preservation and avoids transparency, leading to the cover-up of difficult truths and the denial of self-deception. The core conflict, productive reasoning. In stark contrast, productive reasoning is dedicated to creating valid, testable knowledge and making truly informed choices. It requires individuals to make their premises and inferences transparent for robust testing, encouraging challenge from external logic and making the group's collective thinking the measure of success. Consequences of defensive reasoning. The choice between these mindsets has predictable consequences. Defensive reasoning triggers self-fulfilling prophecies, ensures escalating misunderstanding as parties talk past one another, and ultimately leads to feelings of helplessness or victimhood within the system. Theories of action, the engine of behavior. Individual mindsets are translated into action through theories of action, master programs in our heads. A crucial distinction exists between our espoused theory, what we say we do, and our theory in use, the actual program governing our behavior. Research shows that the near-universal theory in use is Model 1, which generates defensive reasoning. Model 1, the governing values Model 1, is governed by values focused on unilateral control, minimizing losing, suppressing negative feelings, and appearing rational. These values lead to skilled incompetence. Individuals skillfully avoid confrontation or difficulty, which incompetently prevents them from solving the underlying problem. Model 2, the governing values. The alternative, Model 2, enables productive reasoning and deep organizational learning. Its governing values are fundamentally different, producing valid, transparent information, making informed choices, and vigilantly monitoring implemented actions to detect and correct errors. Systemic dysfunction. Defensive routines. When individual Model I theories converge, they institutionalize, creating powerful organizational defensive routines. These are collusive practices, like sugar-coated reports or undiscussables, that protect the organization from embarrassment by simultaneously preventing discovery of the threat's cause. The learning impasse. Single loop versus double loop. These routines create a learning impasse by blocking double loop learning, the correction of errors that requires questioning and changing the underlying governing values and strategy itself. They are actively hostile to this deeper learning because it introduces the threat and embarrassment that the routines were designed to prevent. Case evidence. Strategic inertia at Intel. The Intel case demonstrated this failure. Despite technical excellence, single-loop learning, management failed to exit the low-margin DRAM business due to emotional attachment. Middle managers protected the top team from the harsh reality, creating a domain of undiscussables and strategic blindness fueled by the fear of confrontation. Case evidence. Cycles of impression management. The Therapeutic Apheresis Program, TAP, case illustrated a vicious cycle of impression management. The innovation team, sugar-coated, reports to secure funding, and resource controllers colluded by privately discounting the fluff while publicly holding the team accountable. This deception prevented timely error correction and ultimately guaranteed project failure. The behavioral imperative, the destructive causal chain, is clear. Since the problem is behavioral, not merely structural, traditional fixes like reorganizations or new incentives are insufficient. They will be sabotaged by the underlying Model I theories in use. Leaders must stop protecting the organization with its defensive routines. Conclusion: protecting from defenses. The fundamental strategic choice is to protect the organization from its defensive routines by actively fostering productive reasoning and Model II skills. This means elevating external implementation validity, generating the internal commitment to bring strategy to life to the same status as strategic planning itself. This capacity for open, data-driven inquiry into the most difficult issues is the core competence for long-term adaptation and success.